Welcome back. Sam the Electrician here, talking about Western independence and Alberta separation. Just wanted to go over the gun control agenda that the Liberal government rolled out in their throne speech on Thursday. In my opinion, it amounts to tyrannical government overreach and possibly bordering on an attempt to disarm the population, especially the population of the West, who don't support any of their ideas or political beliefs or agenda. And it's much easier to have a passive, unarmed population when you're trying to ram through policies that are literally going to destroy our way of life and our economy out here. So from the throne speech, it says, quote, "Year after year, headline after headline, Canadians have seen firsthand the devastating effects of gun violence. Too many lives lost, too many families shattered. It is time to show courage and strengthen gun control. The government will crack down on gun crime, banning military-style assault rifles and taking steps to introduce a buyback program. Municipalities and communities that want to ban handguns will be able to do so, and the government will invest to help cities fight gang-related violence." So there's a lot to unpack there, a lot of lies. Year after year, headline after headline, Canadians have seen firsthand the devastating effects of gun violence. Well, there's a lot of lies in that. Year after year, homicide statistics are actually going down. They're down minus 3.62% over last year. From 2018 to 2017. Don't have this year's statistics out yet, of course. And over a 10-year span, it's minus 4.88%. So killings are going down in Canada. Violence is decreasing in society and Western societies in general. That trend can be actually looked at all over the world, in Western societies anyway. Canadians have seen firsthand the devastating effects of gun violence. That's also a lie. Of the 37 million people in Canada, a tiny percentage have ever seen an actual firsthand shooting, and a tiny percentage are affected, by the victims or whatever. And yes, my heart goes out to the victims of and the families of the victims of gun violence, for sure. It's a terrible thing, but the idea that taking a rifle away from a guy in Alberta is going to stop gang-related violence in Toronto is so spurious, and just, it's such a leap of logic. I can't believe anybody follows it. The government will, it says the government will, it is time to show courage and strengthen gun control. It's not really courageous to come and take away, law-abiding citizens' private property. Most of us are just going to give up our guns if necessary. And, that doesn't take courage at all. What takes courage is actually fighting the criminals who will not give up their guns and are not going to line up and hand in their weaponry. And they're going to continue being criminals. That's why they're classified as criminal gang members. They're not legally owning, law-abiding rural citizens of the West. It's just ridiculous to think that you can conflate the two, because you can't. They're completely separate issues and groups of people. Banning military-style assault rifles. That earns itself a little bit of a side note here. If I put an olive green pillowcase on a pillow and hit you with it, it is now a military-style assault pillow. If I paint my cat camouflaged and whip it at someone, it is now a military-style assault cat. That doesn't mean anything. What especially doesn't mean anything is it's not actually compiled in StatsCan statistics. It only has a rifle and shotgun subsection on the homicides, and I'll get to those in a minute. There is no military-style assault rifle death category in the StatsCan because it's just a rifle. They also say they'll introduce a buyback program, which is, again, it's not gonna be what they say it is. It's going to be a mandatory buyback program by my imagination anyway. I would imagine that's what it's going to be. And basically, it's the government coming and taking your gun and saying, we're going to give you a little bit of compensation for it, for your private property, to smooth it over with anyone who thinks it's not right that we're confiscating private property. And if you don't give it up, you are now the criminal. So then you have to reap the consequences of being the criminal, up to and including jail time or even death if they want to shoot you for not giving up your gun. It's a little hyperbolic, but it could come to that, and it's just terrifying to think that a minority liberal government can do this, and use the tyranny of mob rule for the rest of the country to come out west and confiscate our legally owned private property and change the laws and turn us into criminals. So all of a sudden, we're the criminals. Anyway, so the municipalities and communities that want to ban handguns will be able to do so. Well, that's not true either, believe it or not. The provinces have jurisdiction over that. So unless the federal government intends to try to ram their laws down the provinces' throats as well and get in the way and step on the toes of provincial jurisdiction, then the cities have to ask the province for permission to do that. And I mean, thank God, hopefully the Alberta government will never stand for that in our cities out here, but it doesn't bode well for the rest of the country, that's for sure. So anyway, the numbers just don't support any of this move to do this. I'm going to just quickly go over some of the. This is from Stats Canada. It's a government website. These are the numbers that the Liberals and any other government who wants to impose far-reaching laws like this should be looking at before making these decisions. Total homicides in Canada last year, 651. That's total of all causes. 143 of them were handguns. 183 were stabbings. 119 were beatings with a blunt object or with fists. 36 were strangulation. And second from the bottom was all rifles and shotguns. Now, this is not including, this isn't a subcategory. This is all rifles. So this could be a 22 rifle. This could be what they try to call a military style assault rifle, like the big scary words. 56. 56 homicides committed with a rifle or shotgun. And I'd be very interested actually to know how many of those 56 were military style assault rifles. Let's say a quarter of them, so 10 or 12. So we're banning a weapon because of 10 or 12 murders for a population of 37 million. Just did some numbers. 56 people out of 37 million is 0.0000151% of the population. Just for some context, car accidents killed between 2,800 and 2,900 people in 2018. And again, back to the stabbings, 183 homicides with stabbings. So are we going to ban all knives now too? Ban all pointy sticks? I mean, when does it stop? Bubble wrap everybody and ban all the things, right? The two liberal mantras. So yeah, get out to the rallies, sign the petitions to get Wexit permission to form a provincial party. I want everyone who listens to this stuff and agrees to write to Jason Kenney and your local UCP representative and get them moving on this chief firearms officer appointed by Albertans for Albertans, and that'll help mitigate some of the damage, and hopefully we can get out and form our own republic before any of this nonsense is imposed on us by the Laurentian elite in Ottawa, who are so out of touch. I don't even have words anymore for how ridiculous some of this stuff is that's coming out of Ottawa these days. So yeah, thanks for joining me again. Take it easy.